Welcome back to Buffalo Plus. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I'm Jenna Cottrell. We are getting you ready for the Bills hosting Houston this week. A lot to talk about. Heavy favorites the Bills are this week.
That is an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, usually the point spread is a minor comment most weeks, right? Oh, the Bills are
Not to
5-point
Dan.
favorites. No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people who bet the games. I'm just talking in general. It's interesting.
Well, it's like
most games are
storyline.
close.
Correct.
Yeah.
Normally, it's storyline C or D.
Right.
Yeah.
When there's other things to talk about.
And when the point spread actually is a thing. I mean, look, when they played Washington, or Pittsburgh, they were 6-point favorites, first game of the year. They played Washington, I think, what was it, 7.5?
7,
right?
yep.
These are all nebulous numbers. They matter to bettors, but it doesn't really tell you as much. When you're 17-point favorites,
yes,
Says
that
a lot.
becomes a thing.
Yeah. No, it does.
Emmanuel Sanders' dad knows about it.
He called Sanders to tell him. Emmanuel wasn't having any of it.
Yeah, we get
Dad. But we all, Emmanuel,
like I said, borderline, it's disrespectful.
we all go through that.
I mean, I'm not
17?
talking about dads calling sons. I'm talking about the fact of being a over 2 touchdown
favorite.
But it even happens to the players. Like, I get calls from my family members telling me things that they know I probably know. You get them from your mom.
I will get a text at probably 8 p.m. on Sunday.
Hey, the Bills won.
The Bills won. Congrats. Oh, okay.
So there we go.
We want to make sure you have your comments sending in, any questions you have as well. Be sure to like, subscribe. We always appreciate it so much. As we get ready, we're going to cover a lot. We're also going to have a special story on AJ Epenesa as well. Yeah, we'll have all that coming up. We're going to take a very quick little break, and we'll be right back for the start of the show. Hang right there. We'll be right back.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, there he is, Josh Allen, fresh off his AFC Offensive Player of the Week honors, celebrating at practice this week with Stephon Diggs coming off a huge week against Washington. 5 total touchdowns, over 350 passing yards from him. We want to welcome you to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. We are getting you ready as the Bills taking on Houston at home this week. A matchup, week 4. The Bills, they're favored by 17 points heading into the game. Mike, what's your take of this? Because A, that's a lot of points, but B, things can happen fast in the NFL.
It does, and in recent times when we've seen these type of games, everybody knows about the game. They played Minnesota. The Bills were this type of favorite. They had a rookie quarterback getting his first start on the road. And not only did the Bills win the game, they won it in a blowout over Minnesota, sort of Josh Allen's first moment. And then the Bills had that home game against the Dolphins. What were they, 16-point favorites?
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were 16-point favorites, and that was the Fitz game where they were leading heading into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Trey White made a couple of big plays, and the Bills survived in that one. So I'm not saying that's happening Sunday. I'm saying sometimes when there are these big numbers, you expect it to go one way. Doesn't always work out that way.
Well, and it's all about focus, too, getting ready, because there's a big couple weeks coming up. There's Kansas City, there's Nashville, both games on the road. But, Dan, you know, this Sean McDermott team, we know he likes to keep them disciplined.
Well, and that's the thing, is that this should have been a matchup that maybe we were previewing before about, a Houston team with Deshaun Watson going up against Josh Allen. We don't have that. This is a Houston team that is not very good, and that we have at times, like Jenna said, Chiefs next, Titans next, real tests
Peeking
coming
down
up.
the road,
Yeah, and so there has been more talk this week because last week it was Taylor Heineke that we were talking about, this is the preview of the guys that got to stop. We didn't really ask that many people about what's it like stopping Davis Mills. He's a rookie quarterback making his second start, first career road start. And earlier this week, I asked Stephon Diggs, are you guys aware that you were 17-point favorites? And before I could get the rest of the question out, he said, I hate it, but go on. And this is what he had to say about the rest of it.
Yeah, it's reality, especially I've been on teams that you were supposed to win the game and you didn't win the game. But I try not to think too much about favorites or teams, because if they come to play and they have a good game plan, any team can win. And I feel like we had that kind of experience the first game of the season. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm not gonna say we were supposed to win, because that's a great team. But you always expect to win. You always expect to play extremely well, and we didn't. So having that humble experience early, I'd rather it happen early than later. And so now it's kind of put us in that spot of, okay, stay grounded, stay focused, and stay grinding, because I'm saying any given Sunday.
And I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
These players, are aware of the spread.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are aware
Yes.
of what the national media says. And you know why I know that? Is because when they are big underdogs and then they win, they say, nobody picked us. But all week they were saying that we don't pay attention to any of that stuff. We don't listen to the outside noise. They do. They're human beings.
It is. It's interesting to
Fun
hear
fact.
Diggs.
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Because the game when the Bills won in Minnesota,
Yes.
He was there.
yeah, he was there. He was playing against his BFF Josh Allen in
Yes,
that game.
future BFF.
Yes, and they ended up losing that game. And look, we're not trying to make more of it than it is. The Texans do start a rookie quarterback. It would have been
Correct.
nice to see Tyrod Taylor come back just to
Yes.
see
Yeah.
him play. Would have been nice to see Fitz last week.
Yeah.
But it's not what the case is. So the Bills are getting a little bit of a break there. But you made that point about Houston, man. Going back to where the two teams were at that time with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins and that phenomenal
J.J.
game we saw
Watt.
down there. And they're all gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this could be a redemption game that Josh Allen has always talked about, where they lost in the playoff game in 2019, and it was ugly. And Josh said that that game was going to change him. He was going to learn from it, and that was the motivating factor. That seems like decades ago.
It really
is.
does. And think of how much has changed since then.
Yep.
It's just two totally different sides of the coin. We did want to ask you also as well what your thoughts were heading into the matchup in terms of Sunday, what it would be in terms of, are you worried about what's going to happen? How are you feeling about what's going to happen? Are you concerned? And no, not at all. Blowout win was the overall predominant winner in this one. And look, I think fans are obviously, anything can happen, as you know, the cliche, any given Sunday. But at the same point, Mike, I mean, I think, how important do you think that maybe that loss to Pittsburgh was to keep this team motivated and on task?
Oh, I think it was a lot. I mean, they've already seen what happens. You come in, you don't play well. You've already blown a game. Look, you know, Stefan says that they lost to a really good team. No, they didn't. They lost to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a lot of friends who are Steelers fans. It's not a good team. It's not. The Bills should have won that game, and I think they know they gave one back there at home. They don't want to lose at home. They don't even want to have this. They know what's coming up next week.
Yes.
Right? They're not focused on it. They just need to come out, take care of business, win a game they should win, and then move on to the next one.
And we got to talk to Mitch Morris, the Bills center, this week about that concept of a trap game, of a game that you kind of don't think about and just push ahead to. Here's what he had to say at practice this week about that.
For us, no, we understand that this is a very talented defense, and they play with extreme effort, which a lot of the production comes from just out competing their opponent. So for us, it'll be a great challenge matching that intensity. So maybe to answer your question a little bit more of what the media makes and what we feel like in the building, because this league will humble you quick, and I feel like I get humbled once a game. You know, they ask rookies what their welcome to the NFL moment is. I still feel like I have won a game, where you just realize you still have a lot of work to do.
Humble and hungry.
Yeah.
Well said.
But you is true. I mean, you're going against NFL players.
Absolutely.
And you'll get burned. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what'll happen.
That's
So
part
it's
of it.
individual battles for them. They do not go into a game thinking, well, this is a piece of cake for us.
No,
not
but
in the NFL.
But they also need to they need to make motivation for themselves in this game.
Yeah.
I
feel
would
like
agree with
that's I know it's a weird thing to say, but the Patriots did it for a decade, where they made up narratives that nobody believed in them and all these things. The Bills need to motivate themselves somehow this week, to push themselves to continue to play better, as they have these last 2 weeks. The offense got back on track this week. The defense is playing well. I think they need to find a way, whether to push themselves, create some bulletin board material in their head to play hard again this weekend against Houston.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. And you got some insight from Houston this week as well.
Yeah, Seth Payne, Rochester people know Seth. He played his high school football at Victor. He went on to play at Cornell, went into the NFL, played for the Titans. He got drafted by the Jags, and then played for the Texans after that. And he's been a talk show host, morning show down in Houston, and the full interview was on Buffalo Plus on the YouTube channel, so you can take a look at that. But one of the things I asked him was, well, should Bills fans at all be worried about Sunday? How can the Texans pull off an upset against the Bills?
It would have to be with turnovers, because Lovie Smith is a defensive coordinator, and he turnovers, and a lot of coaches claim that they preach and focus on turnovers. Lovie Smith really emphasizes the turnover. So they're gonna be going after the ball. If the Bills mess up and turn the ball over against them, and then on offense, if they let Brandon Cooks get behind the secondary, that would be the formula.
Brandon Cooks, a talented wide receiver,
Yeah.
a fast guy. again, they're going to keep everything in front of them. I think that's the goal here. And to do that and not turn the ball over, I think they would make it very difficult on a Houston team that doesn't have the same talent level that the Bills do.
Yeah,
I agree.
I completely agree. And coming up after the break, we're going to check out AJ Epenesa. He's been off to a strong start this season. One of the guys kind of standing out this year so far. We'll have his story and how he's settling in and standing out with the Bills defense. We'll have that after the break on Buffalo Plus.
Okay.
Minute 30.
Sean O'Keefe, the big question is, where's the hoodie for me? That's what he
Now
wants
the
to
trademark,
know. Yes.
Dan.
Yeah, I'll buy more hoodies. It's a good look.
Can I wear a hoodie and a jacket?
Well, yeah. You're always
Man,
cold, so you would
I
want
am.
the hoodie.
Yeah, no, I would love that.
Dan can pull off the hoodie look.
Yeah, you
hoodie,
can.
sport coat.
You could not.
James
I
Snead,
wouldn't try.
back on the game. James Snead, I think he's being sarcastic with this, but it makes a lot of sense. Our only worry is that the Texans are so bad. I think, that's what we talked
that's
about.
a fair point.
I think there is some of that underestimating an opponent.
Yeah.
Well, and playing down to the level.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
can
something you
happen.
have to. That's something you
And
have
to
to
get off
guard
to a
against.
fast start, because they always say you don't want to let bad teams hang around.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's very true.
Dan says, I'd like to think that this team is not like teams of the past. They win games that they should. Motivation should be home field in the playoffs, which absolutely is one thing. By the way, Renee Fates is watching the show, just so you know that.
Hi, Renee.
Mrs. Fates.
I'm gonna hear about this when I come home.
What?
In a good way.
I'm gonna hear about this. Really, you were talking about me on the air? That's what it
no.
is.
She's watching.
She's
appreciate
she's
it.
Good. I was
Making
just saying.
sure.
Good
Feel
wife.
Probably
free to-
getting the hoodie all ready for next week's show.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the show. All right, welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Last spring, AJ Epenesa, the 54th overall pick. He was the second round. He was the first pick for the Bills in last year's draft. And look, we talk so much about, players hitting their stride, especially after that rookie year. But AJ Epenesa's COVID season, in terms of, getting to the team, meeting everyone on Zoom, not getting to meet his coaches till later on, no preseason. Mike, how much does that impact a player? I mean, everything is different.
Every player is different in how they handle it. And I think for him, it was physical and mental. I think he needed to get his body right for what he's going to do in the NFL. It's a different sport. It really is. And we've even seen Boogie Basham comes this year, second round guy that can't get on the field at the moment.
Yeah.
That can happen too. And that doesn't mean the guy can't play.
No.
It means it might take a little while longer. So now AJ is back, and honestly, physically and even publicly, he sounds like a different guy, looks like a different guy.
And on top of that, if you know AJ's story from Iowa when he was in college, he didn't play until his junior year. So, this is a guy that had to sit and wait and learn at Iowa and had success. Jenna, you sat down with him this week.
Yeah, and we also saw him stand out, though, in week 2 against Miami. Week 2?
Yes.
Yep.
Week 2 against Miami. Feels like forever ago. But he had 9 total QB pressures. He was in and impactful in that game. We got to talk to him this week about how different he feels, how much more comfortable he is now in this Bills defense. AJ Epenesa was drafted last year, and he might not have a sack yet this season, but that doesn't mean AJ hasn't been impressive. Because it's not often you hear a teammate talk like this.
AJ is ready. The things that he did last year, he did good last year. But the things he's doing now, watch out for AJ.
Yeah, because Epenesa finally feels ready after a strange rookie season because of COVID. When the time came to pick where AJ would do his offseason training.
So initially I was thinking he'll be somewhere warm, somewhere nice.
We get it. But instead of palm trees and beaches, Epenesa chose Buffalo.
One thing that was big was that being where my people are at, like Coach McDermott's in that weight room all the time. They could see me working in here, and they would never have a doubt.
He gained 13 pounds of muscle this spring. But on a defensive line stacked with talent and characters, where does AJ fit in?
I'm definitely not the funny guy. That's Mike Love. Funny looking, funny guy, that's him.
That's funny.
We got a bunch of vets. The Star, Jerry Myers. We got all our old heads. I'm one of the young cats right now. Me, Boogie, and Greg, just the three amigos.
The three amigos now, but it didn't start like that. Buffalo drafted Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham this year, and the Bills used their top 2 picks to do it. And Epenesa was honest.
Initially, I wasn't, in the happiest. Because we just drafted 2 DNs and they drafted me last year. But after thinking about it while talking to my parents, that's competition, and competition breeds excellence.
So yes, there's competition, but now there's also camaraderie and results. Now AJ is still looking for that first sack of the season, but we asked him what number he's shooting for this year.
I have an idea, but I don't even want to think about it. I just want to keep working.
That's fair.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's high. High number. It's high, yeah. It's a high number.
Yeah, a high number. And high expectations. Because Epenesa knows with play like that, the numbers will come. We got to see a lot of personality from him, but like we talked about in the story, he's a guy that hasn't quite seen those numbers in terms of sacks yet, but Sean McDermott, very complimentary of him. His teammates, very complimentary of him. Leslie Frazier as well. You think those results will show?
Our one guy who's not complimentary is Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes, that's
because he knocked him out of the game.
And
just the idea of sacks. Now, what do you guys think? It's double digits, right? Is the number?
Yeah,
it would seem like a number you would shoot for.
Yeah, absolutely.
His PR guy was off to the side and was like, don't say anything too silly, like, don't go crazy. But, he still doesn't have a sack yet this season, which I think is kind of crazy when you think about it. I think he's been the most impactful defensive lineman this year. I think he's had the biggest impact on affecting the quarterback. This week, I think he's got to get to Davis Mills.
Yeah, I believe so.
And if you don't know who Davis Mills is, that's okay, because a lot of people probably don't.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, can you explain the story of Davis Mills?
Well, Davis Mills is a guy that they brought in who was not supposed to be playing. He played at Stanford. Look, they had Deshaun Watson, and then that all fell apart, and they have Tyrod Taylor, and then he got hurt, and all of a sudden it's Davis Mills, and he has a long neck. You can see it there, which is what you notice him physically. He's also a big guy. He's an athlete.
Yep.
And, again, he physically would remind you a little bit of Josh Allen coming in. Now, he's not the runner Josh is, but he can move. I believe he considers himself deceptively fast.
Yes, athletic.
Yes, sneaky athletic. He even jokes about that. But he's a guy who looked very lost when he first got in the game. And last week, they played on a Thursday. This is the second straight team the Bills have played with extra rest. And at least he started to look a little better. But he is a long way from making big plays for this team.
Long neck.
Like you will notice when you're watching the game.
Also, one last tidbit is the fact that he was the #1 high school recruit when he went to Stanford. #1.
That's a lot of pressure.
And Josh Allen was not when he left high school.
0-star recruit. Quite the opposite. All right, coming up, stay tuned throughout the break as we have coming up Mike's drop of talking about the Patriots and that guy, Tom Brady. You won't want to miss it. We'll have it coming up.
Okay.
Somebody asked, is he a giraffe? That's a really good comment. If you Google Davis Mills,
please Google.
You will see some great photoshops.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, it's who was the guy? Glennon.
Glennon had a long neck too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, it's just.
Are you gonna stick your neck out there and like?
No, hey, look.
How many more neck puns can we get in here?
I gotta tell you though, when Josh was a first-round pick, but when Josh went into Minnesota. He had not looked good. They had gotten blown out in games. He was on the road as big underdogs.
Correct.
And they got blown out.
But that game changed very quickly back in 2018. The defense, Jerry Hughes had a strip sack. Milano had an interception.
Milano was named Player of the Week.
The game switched very quickly. And I think Lovie Smith is the defensive coordinator. When you talk to Seth Payne, that is what he preaches, is to get turnovers. That's what Davis Mills is praying for, is for his defense to get some early turnovers of Josh Allen and to try and get a lead.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're going to try and do the formula that the Bills did back in 2018 in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But then Josh jumped over a linebacker, and I don't think Davis Mills is going to do that.
No.
I remember that. Do you remember that? When he jumped over and you're like,
crazy.
Oh my gosh, everything has changed.
Tony Romo went. What did he He did. That game.
So good.
That game, CBS had that game, and they were expecting Minnesota was a good team, and they were expecting to be talking about the Vikings.
Yep.
And I think all of Romo's notes were basically about, if he takes notes, were all about the Vikings. And all of a sudden it was like, who are these guys on the Bills? And the Bills dominated.
Jason Kroom caught a touchdown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, stay right there. We'll have more entertainment coming right back up. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Tom Brady getting ready for his return to Foxborough against the Patriots coming up. Mike, what do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, it is so strange right now, right? When you think about Tom Brady playing. I think for Bills fans, it still takes a little while to realize he doesn't play for the Patriots anymore, right? He's on Tampa. He won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So the game comes up Sunday night, and it's a massive regular season game.
Correct.
I think it's probably going to end up with some of the highest ratings that we've ever seen for a regular season game because everybody wants to see what it's like. How's he going to be greeted going back there? I have a thought on this game, and this is the mic drop from tonight. The Patriots can't win. Now, I don't mean that the Patriots couldn't get a victory in the game. Their defense could come up, play big. Maybe Brady's a little anxious in this one. Maybe his Bucs teammates don't come through like he would expect them to. Maybe Belichick does come up with a plan and figures out a way to win. But even if the Patriots win a game, they can't win. They've already lost this. This battle has been won. The war has been won by Tom Brady. He went to Tampa and not only won, he won a Super Bowl. He looked like the guy who separated himself from Bill Belichick. I still believe Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, and I believe he had a ton to do with what Brady became, but Brady just keeps going. He's as good as ever. He will set the all-time passing yardage record in this game, of all places, back in Foxborough. He's going to have more touchdown passes in his 40s than he did in his 20s, which is crazy. And even if New England wins the football game, it's a victory. Whereas Tampa Bay's got a Super Bowl and Brady could still win another one. It's more likely going to happen that Brady's going to come in and get another blowout and be able to walk off that field, probably to cheers from Patriot fans because he's Tom Brady. And Bill Belichick's going to have a rough Sunday one way or the other against his old quarterback.
I mean, it's unbelievable, though, to see how
I said this earlier in the week. This is one of the biggest games of Brady's career. And he has won 7 Super Bowls.
He's got a lot of big games of his career.
I think it's a top 3 game for him.
I think it's one of the biggest.
First Super Bowl, the Bucs Super Bowl, this game.
I think this game is not bigger than Super Bowls.
Correct.
But I think what it is it's bigger for an individual guy. Like Brady does think about legacy, and his legacy is he's the greatest winner. He's already gotten all that.
Yeah.
And look, I won't be around long enough to say this. Nobody's ever going to win 7 Super Bowls.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and look how great Mahomes has gotten off to a start, and you don't know where they're going, right? To win 7 is incredible. To play this long is incredible.
Yeah.
And now to go back to Foxborough. No, as an individual guy, he really is a team guy that is a great individual player. But to your point, when it's about him, he's competitive. Super competitive.
Beyond Jordan.
And by the way, if he's not beyond Jordan. I don't care what Trent Dilfer says.
He's not
beyond Michael Jordan. But I will tell you this, when it's over and he and Gronk win, you're going to see that Instagram message with the two of them.
I wonder what he has queued up.
His social media team's already got
it. They are so good. That's going to be a great game
And Bills
to watch.
fans get to, without a doubt, root for Tom Brady on Sunday night. Look at that.
It's going to be so much fun, I feel like, for Bills fans to sit back and watch. And speaking of the game, we have our prediction from Greg Connors, one of our great sponsors. So here is Greg's prediction for the week ahead and what the Bills need to tune into, especially for the game coming up.
This is one of the games where I think coaching is most important because you got to keep them focused. You know, there's a lot of distractions. The week after is a big game against the Chiefs. It's Sunday night. The Texans are coming in. You got a backup quarterback. They haven't performed like, the Texans when we played them back in the playoffs. And so I think this to me is the perfect game that will demonstrate the level of McDermott's coaching, highest level of his coaching, as well as his assistants in terms of keeping them focused.
I think that's a great point, too, because it takes that focus to not look ahead, especially when you know you have such big teams coming up down the line.
Yeah.
We're talking about looking ahead. The Bills have pretty much won the division.
All right.
I mean, I get your point, but
look, it's early.
And I'm not some homer. Like, again, since we have been a part of in doing this Buffalo Plus thing, I have been at times critical of Josh Allen. What are you gonna time me out for?
Hold on. It's 3 weeks in. I don't even want to say the kind of things that can happen. So beyond anything crazy happening. If the teams remained exactly like they are, yes, the Bills are going to win the division.
Davis Webb would be a better quarterback than what New England and Miami and the Jets have put out.
I don't think so. I think Mac Jones can be okay. I don't think he's great.
I was just
he's
saying.
better than Cam Newton.
That's fair.
And that team won games. The Bills, I believe they're going to win the division. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
They could win it in October. This could be over in October. We could be talking about this division in October. Just saying.
I was going to say, we'll have our hot takes in the next segment, I thought. You're getting ready.
That's a pretty hot take. I mean, look, I think we all picked the Bills to win. We have the Bills going to the Super Bowl. I think they are. It's not even October yet.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I don't know how you go on after that.
That's why we're going to go to a break.
But I was going to say, but we are going to come back, and we do have our predictions. And who could have predicted Cole Beasley's haircut? I was not expecting that. Our game predictions, our picks, and Dan's best bets. We'll have it coming up after the break. I was stunned that you just said that, Dan. Like I know
this division has become worse than what we thought.
Okay, I
would tell you this, that I think the AFC East, the only difference between the AFC East and the NFC East
is there's one good
the
team?
Bills are better than Dallas.
Correct.
Dallas is the best team in the
Correct.
NFC East.
Yes.
They're not at the level of the Bills, but they're good. The Jets are worse than any team in both divisions.
Correct.
Yeah,
And Miami is a massive disappointment, and that team could. It'll be interesting to see how they do this week. They're playing the Colts, who's another bad team. And New England is mediocre at best.
Before the season, I had said that I thought it would zero chance the Bills would go undefeated in the division again. And they still may lose a game, whether it's to New England, in Foxborough, or anything like that. This division is way worse than I thought it was.
Okay. By the way, Don's pick, 42-10 Bills, and the defense will dominate. I thought he was going to say the defense.
Did you see Scott Hetzko's pick? 74-2, Bills win.
Yes, that would not
Scott
be
Blakely
the biggest,
agrees with me. He thought the AFC East was going to be better. It's not.
I mean, I don't think that's a wild take. I just feel like it is so early for you to just say that. It's like, yeah, you're probably right. But at the same point, it's just the way you said it was just like,
And I'm trying to avoid saying the thing that everybody concerns themselves with.
Correct.
Yes, and you don't need to say it.
You don't need to talk about those things that can happen to a team, which could change things a little bit. You believe Mitch Trubisky could win the division.
I agree.
Yeah.
I absolutely. I said it.
But we don't want to see that happen.
Correct.
Because what did Marv say? Depth is
a great thing until you have to use it.
That's right.
Such
Confidence
a good
is a hell of a drug.
Well, that's another thing.
That's Dan. We'll be right back.
Marv Levy, Dan Fates.
All right, Josh Allen hoping to get his momentum going once again after a nice win against Washington. Houston this weekend, we'll have it. Dan, I want to start with you, though, because we have your best bets for the weekend ahead.
I finally gave out a winner last week.
Congratulations.
I had Aaron
There we go.
Rodgers as an underdog going into San Francisco and beating the Niners. Absolutely took care of that game. This one, going to a favorite to beat an undefeated team. I think the LA Chargers are maybe the second best team in the conference. I think that the Raiders are kind of phony. I think they're kind of living on the wild side. I think they're an overrated 3-0 team. Had it squeak by Miami in overtime and Jacoby Brissett. Really like the Chargers at home, only laying 3 points against the Raiders. I think the Raiders are overvalued. I like Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I give the Raiders credit. They're found to win those games so far.
Better defense than we thought. The Raiders... Last year, they were a turnstile on defense. Better this year, but Justin Herbert has shown that he can light up any single defense.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. All right, Dan, your picks for the game.
I talked earlier in the show about needing to find some kind of inner motivation in this game for the Bills because they are such big favorites. And I think it comes down to Leslie Frazier. He should have been the head coach of the Houston Texans. And I guarantee that the Bills players wanted Leslie to get that job in Houston. Not because they wanted him to go, but for the fact that he's deserving it. I think the Bills defense puts on a spirited effort to embarrass Davis Mills at home. His first road game, I think the Bills defense goes bananas in this game. I think the Bills offense gets back on track. They score 30 points again and win big.
All right. I also have the Bills winning this game. I think they're going to put on a great showing, especially against Davis Mills. Josh Allen continues his reign so far. I have the Bills winning 31-13. It's going to be a big win for Buffalo at home in front of their fans.
Yeah, we talk about different kinds of motivation. I think this is a team. They play like a team all the time, but there are games when you do look for individual numbers. And I used to tell people all the time, Bruce Smith, an all-time great player, but man, he liked getting his numbers too, getting those sacks. I think there'll be players out there this week looking to get some points, looking to get some catches. That's not goal number one, but games like this is when you can pile up some numbers. The Bills will 31-10. I don't see any way Houston stays in the game.
A lot of sacks.
Little interesting point. 30 points is the magic number for the Bills. Since Sean McDermott has taken over, the Bills have scored 30 points in 17 games. 16-1.
Wow.
In those games, the only loss?
Arizona.
Hail Murray.
Yep.
Wow.
Bringing the stats
Look
today.
at that.
All right,
I told you I had stats.
Let's take
bomb.
let's take a quick look at our picks. All right, we're all going Buffalo, of course. We're all 2-1 on the season. We're rolling as well. Be sure to check out Buffalo Plus on YouTube. We have all your Bills coverage post-game before previews getting you set. And, of course, enjoy the game as the Bills with kickoff at 1 p.m. against Houston. Buffalo 17-point favorites. We'll have post-game coverage on BuffaloPlus.com and our Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Dan Fates, Mike Catalana. I'm Jenna Cottrell. Enjoy the game.